We're fortunate to be out here in the marina today. The weather's absolutely gorgeous, just a little bit of wind, and life is good. This is Not a Spring Chick with Oldecam, for OFN with comments on the headlines of today. But first, people have asked us to tell you something about Oldecam. We're actually old.
How old?
How old is Oldecam?
How old is old? Well, we can put it this way. If my father was alive, my father would be 100 years old this week. I started working in 1948. That was 60 years ago. And while I am still consider myself to be young, I'm old enough to know when you're no longer should be driving, and I'm no longer driving an automobile because of my age. So now you have hints. Figure it out.
And now for the headlines of today. A probe into call girl ring started at IRS.
It seems somebody thought that there was a slush fund, and they got a wiretap on it, and that's how the man got caught. It was just a fund to pay the hookers was all.
Iraqis still ask if U.S. invasion was worth it.
Well, they could still have Saddam if they wanted him, but they executed him.
Blast killed 12 in Pakistan's Lahore.
They simply didn't like the results of the election.
Oh, do you think something like that will happen here?
Well, we've had leaders of one of the parties simply say that if Obama is not the president, there's going to be trouble.
AP water probe prompts Senate hearings.
I mean, if you ever watch public broadcasting or Discovery or the Learning Channel, they tell you about how the water is treated. How do you get that stuff by the treatment people?
Space shuttle poised for night launch.
They did that because this actually was done a few hours ago when it was night. And they did it because they just wanted to look good for the cameras.
Well, they know the power of cameras.
Right.
Scandal puts Spritzer's career in danger.
Oh, I would think so. I mean, this was a guy who was going to the White House. Well, I guess he thought that that was the way to the White House because he was a believer in Bill Clinton.
Representative King defends comments about Obama.
Well, you know, what the gentleman said was that if Obama was elected to the presidency, they would be dancing in the streets because he intended to pull all of the troops out of the Muslim countries, basically handing the terrorists to those countries. That's what he was saying.
Billionaire investor Carl Icahn says U.S. is losing its edge.
It's because there are too many people running companies that are in it strictly for their pay packages and not actually to make the company work.
GOP moves to force immigration vote.
You know, that has about as much chance as a Hillary Obama ticket.
Franken's main opponent drops Senate bid.
You know, it's this is a guy that has been charged with non-payment of workers' comp that wants union support.
Exhaustive review finds no link between Saddam and Al-Qaeda.
But then again, they weren't really looking for a link.
Clinton link in Brazil ethanol probe.
It's called, you have to really watch where you're putting those investments because they always come back to haunt you.
Obama ridicules notion of VP slot.
Because he actually wants to get it one way or the other, and the best way to get it is to tell people he doesn't want it.
McCain declares himself cancer-free.
There's no such thing as cancer-free.
We need to focus our efforts on reinventing the car.
Well, you know, you need to do something to get away from petroleum.
Boeing to protest $35 billion tanker contract.
Well, I mean, it's costing a god-awful amount of jobs, and then the company that's building it besides Grumman is Airbus, and Airbus just got their butt kicked by Boeing.
North American Indians assembled in the shadow of ancient Mayan pyramids Monday discussed how their traditional wisdom could help save the planet.
You know, I'd been more impressed if they could have helped themselves first.
Identity thief, a major problem with seniors.
I know. I mean, I'm about to lose my credit cards because of that problem. And when you get to my age, they don't give you new credit cards.
3 conservation groups sued the Department of the Interior on Monday for missing a deadline on a decision to list polar bears as threatened because of the loss of Arctic sea ice.
You know, they have a point and they don't have a point because, you know, They can hunt seals off of land as well as they do pack ice.
Iger, Disney to reap $1 billion online.
Problem is, does anybody remember the Go internet system they purchased for billions of dollars? So reaping $1 billion and spending billions and losing it is not a good deal.
Computers that run the Linux operating system instead of Microsoft Corp's Windows didn't attract enough attention from Walmart customers, and the chain has stopped selling them in stores.
It's why, while Apple is a superior computer to an IBM, Linux is a superior operating system to Microsoft. There's not enough software developed for any of them to make them work, so people pass.
Candidates withhold data. It's time to get it all out.
That's never going to happen.
Governor Howard Dean, chairman of the Democratic National Committee, said he thought it was very unlikely that Florida and Michigan delegations would be seated at the National Convention without some concessions.
Well, the concession is Hillary has to turn over everything to Obama because Obama is demanding that he be the man that actually got the delegates and not Hillary. And that's not going to happen either.
Wasn't there a vote in those states?
And the Democrats, the National Committee doesn't care. Disenfranchisement is more important. Is less important to them than keeping a minority vote.
China plans most luxurious train in the world to Tibet. Report.
Yeah, I think they're talking about 90 to 100 people at a time going on a train more luxurious than the Orient Express. For what purpose?
Top current advisors to Senator John McCain's presidential campaign last year lobbied for a European plane maker that beat Boeing to a $35 billion Air Force tanker contract.
Well, they weren't lobbying for the tankers. They were lobbying. I can actually say that word. Lobbying for the Airbus that got beaten by Boeing.
As environmentally friendly as hybrid and fully electric cars are, it turns out replacing normal vehicles with them might dangerously strain already scarce water reserves.
Yeah, what you do is you create one problem by dealing with another problem. It's called the law of unintended consequences.
Economists see U.S. avoiding recession.
Same economist said we're in recession.
And didn't UCLA just come out with a report that says we're not in a recession, but we're pretty close?
That's right.
If both your parents have Alzheimer's disease, you probably are much more likely than other people to get it.
I would think that is so.
That's called genetics, right?
Yeah.
A Monty Bubbleism from the Mark Twain of the animal kingdom.
For some reason, people think that just because you're old and you're not living on welfare that you actually have a lot more than what you've got.